Hello, and welcome. In this video, I'll show you how to transfer Windows and all your data from an old drive, whether it's an HDD or an SSD, to a new one, without any data loss. This method is useful if you've purchased a new drive or if you simply need to move your existing Windows system to another disk. Our goal is to create an exact copy of the entire disk structure, so that Windows boots correctly from the new drive and works without any errors. First, make sure to run command prompt as administrator. To manage disk partitions, we'll use the built-in diskpart utility. Go ahead and launch it. Use the list disk command to display all available disks. Select the target disk using select disk 1, then completely erase it with the clean command. At this point, the disk is empty. Next, run convert GPT. This step is required to use the correct GPT partition format. Now we start creating partitions. The first one is the EFI system partition, which is required for the Windows bootloader. On the original disk, its size is 200 megabytes, so we create the same 200 megabytes partition here. We format it as FAT32 and assign the drive letter S. This step could be done later, but we'll do it now. After that, we create the MSR partition using the command create partition MSR size 16. Then we create the main primary partition. To calculate the exact size, we take the size of the original partition. In this case, 78.37 gigabytes, multiply it by 1024 to convert it into megabytes, and then format the partition using the NTFS file system. Next, we create the recovery partitions. These partitions are also created as primary and formatted as NTFS, but after creation, we assign a special ID that marks them as recovery partitions. If the partition doesn't create correctly, we add the override parameter at the end of the command, along with an attribute that hides the partition. Now we repeat the partition layout of the original disk. At this stage, the disk structure looks identical to the source drive, but it's only the structure. There is still no data on it. The next step is copying the data. We need to transfer files between drives C and Z, as well as the recovery partitions. To exit diskpart and return to the command line, use the exit command. For copying files, we'll use the robocopy utility. On the screen, you can see the meaning of each command parameter. You can also find a detailed explanation of all these commands in the article linked in the video description. I tried performing this copy process from inside a running Windows system. It took about an hour, and in the end, nearly half of the files failed to copy. Those files were actively used by the system, so they couldn't be transferred. That's why we need to boot outside of Windows. You can hold Shift while restarting your computer to access the recovery menu and open command prompt. An even better option is to boot into the same recovery environment using a Windows installation USB drive. To speed things up, I use a modified robocopy command that doesn't display each copied file. This significantly increases the overall copy speed. Once the bootloader is ready, we test the Windows startup. If the system boots successfully, congratulations. You've just taken your skills with personal computers to the next level. As you can see, manually transferring Windows from one disk to another is much more complex and time-consuming than using a dedicated disk cloning program like Disk Copy. So choose the method that works best for you, either software or command line tools. I hope this video was helpful. Leave a comment below, share your thoughts, and let me know which system migration method you prefer.